Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This is, as you probably saw in my previous video, the Tokyo Marui Sig Sauer 226 gas blowback pistol. I'm not going to do a review as such because there's lots of those on YouTube, but I thought I'd give you a little walk around it before the project starts. If you haven't seen my other video, please check it out. Basically what we're going to be doing is changing the plastic body for metal with some garter parts, which again you'll see in the other video if you have a look. So I thought I'd just quickly show you around it. This one has had a couple of upgrades, well, one at least, which are these grips. It seems that these are a garter upgrade. Yet to be confirmed, but the garter ones look exactly the same, and the ones that they come with usually just have the normal Sig Sauer logo here. So please excuse the cough. I'm getting over that awful 100-day cough thing we've got going around at the moment. So yeah, this has got these on there. However, we'll just have a quick look at markings. So we can see here that we have the Sig Sauer p226 markings there. On the other side, we've got 9mm para on the barrel, and you can see we've got the standard Japanese Tokyo Marui markings and the ASGK marking on here as well. Sig Sauer on the grip as well, on the back there, as you can see. Okay. We also have this E2 marking at the front here. Now, so this clearly distinguishes between the older 226 rail or this, the later E2 spec. Now, I've done a little bit of research on the E2, and there's a few slight differences, which I'll go through a little bit later. I'm just going to give you a quick run through on the pistol as we see it at the moment. Okay. So, we've obviously got a quite large magazine here, great for gas capacity. It is a non-painted type. It is like a chemical blacked colour, which is nice. It does have obviously the Made in Japan markings on one side, Tokyo Marui Japan on the bottom, and then obviously Sig Sauer 9mm on the side, which is a nice touch actually. The other brands of pistols they do don't generally tend to have these. The Glocks do have the Glock marking on the back here, but it's nice to have the logo on there. These can be upgraded. When I say upgraded, you can go down the lines of getting the different cases from Garda, which are, you can get them in like stainless, or they're like that parkerized finish that you can get as well. Okay. So yeah, externally, the one thing I noticed when I first looked at this was that the frame is a different colour to the slide. Now, I haven't checked to see if that is an E2 thing or whether that is just because the Real Steel 226 has different materials slide to frame. The slides on the Real 226 are obviously steel, whereas the lowers are aluminium of some description, or an alloy. So the lower is usually a painted finish. When I say painted, it will be a very hard coating of some description, but it is a paint style finish. Whereas the slides on the Real Steel anyway, from what I understand, they do have a kind of Derrylin style coating, very similar to like a black or chemical black, or like a parkerizing finish. The early ones, my understanding is the slides were actually stainless steel and blacked, whereas I think the later ones are just normal steel. Now, operations, we've obviously got a few on here. We've got our magazine release on this side, which from my understanding can be swapped to this side. We've also got a slide release and decocker. The decocker is obviously, if you have the pistol cocked, you can pull this down and it will then drop the hammer without firing the pistol. Also got your takedown lever on the front here. This is actually something that I do need to change. It's one part I haven't ordered yet. I need to order a steel one of these when I do my conversion. Metal parts on it. Obviously, Tokyo Marui, most pistols, they're all plastic, which for me as someone who likes quite a lot of realism is probably a bit of a no-no. However, most of the upgrades are available for the Toka Marui pistols, and the actual operation of them is fantastic. You have the dropping outer barrel, which is great, so it has that Browning style dropping barrel system, which is brilliant. And again, that is just the outer barrel that does that. The inner barrel and everything hop unit stays in place. Obviously the decocker works correctly. Metal parts, the sights I believe are metal, obviously in an alloy of some description. The takedown lever is metal, trigger is metal, magazine release is metal, decocking lever is like a stamped piece of steel, as is the slide release as well. The guide rod is metal. Again, these are all alloy, they're not steel of any description. And the hammer and parts internally of that are also of a metal construction, obviously some description of alloy. Magazine as well, obviously alloy. So operation-wise, with the pistol cocked, it's very snappy. So very, very snappy. What we'll do is we'll take it down so you can see the internals. So normally with these to strip, you need to have the slide all the way back. You see this little cutout on the slide enables you to rotate this round. The guide rod will move forward slightly, that's just unlocking it. And then you release the slide release, and then the top of the slide will come off of the pistol. So in the slide, we've obviously got our guide rod and recoil spring. It's actually quite a tough recoil spring for a plastic slide pistol, to be fair. I'll probably be upgrading it anyway, but yeah, that's the guide rod there. Again, some form of alloy. Your outer barrel, again, is plastic and has a little cam there for the dropping function, which is really good. Hop unit, again, is of a alloy construction of some description. And then we have our blowback unit here with the nozzle. Quite a weak nozzle return spring there, which is surprising actually. Considering how snappy the pistol is, I thought that would be a bit stronger. Something maybe to upgrade at a later stage, depending on what pressure gas we're using. I like to use black gas for that sort of heavy recoil we use in steel slides. We can see there's a piston cup style piston head in there as well. On the back here, just where the hammer hits, nothing there at all. Garda do a plate you can fit in here which mimics a firing pin, which I will be getting for it. So that's the upper. And looking into the lower here, we can see there's rails on the front of the frame actually, which is unusual. Most of the time the rails are of the metal construction. These are part of the plastic frame. We can see we've got our trigger unit in here and our hammer unit in here. Unfortunately, we can't see anything in there at all, other than you've got your valve locker there as well and your trigger bar there. But the slide release and the decocker appear to be steel. The takedown lever is of an alloy construction. All the other parts internally, from what I can tell, appear to be alloy, including the hammer, which is fine. I don't intend on changing these just yet. I don't have a lot of luck with upgraded hammer components generally, so I'll probably avoid that until I need to bother about it. But for now, I think that'll be fine. But yeah, that's the lower down there. Okay, we won't be able to take it any further apart just yet because we'll be doing that in our build. So going through the differences between the railed and the E2. So from the research I've done so far, there are quite a few internal differences between the E2 and the standard 226 railed, which was the original version. The way you can normally tell the difference is have a look at the magazine. If it's the original magazine that comes with the pistol, the standard 226 railed is in two pieces. So you have a join here. These were redesigned because apparently they used to leak a lot. The benefit, apparently, from what I've read, of being this type is you get considerably more gas capacity inside as well, which is great. But the other reason why they changed it, there were a lot of fragile parts inside the hammer unit itself. So the sear, apparently, and the hammer itself used to fail quite easily. And because of that, they also had to change some parts on the blowback unit and in the slide. There is a diagram from Tokamarui which shows all of the parts which are non-compatible between the two, even though a lot of them are. I'll show a picture of that in here in a moment. And the main thing really is there are some parts which are compatible between the two, and you'll see those on the list, but a lot of the parts, the main parts which do all the work, are not compatible. However, magazines are compatible between this model, the E2, and the 226 railed. But that's the main way you can tell the difference. And you can use the old style magazines in the new E2 as well. So we'll go and reassemble the pistol. So first of all, pop the barrel in, make sure that locks back in place. Obviously, recoil spring and guide in. I normally tend to find pulling the recoil spring back first and sliding it in through the hole makes it easier to assemble. Lock that back into place. There is a little pin, as you can see, which locates. And when you turn the takedown lever downwards like this, what's happening here is it's pushing that forwards, which is why you're seeing the recoil guide rod move. So then to reassemble, slide back on, and just like to disassemble, you need to fully press the slide back. I'm going to lock it in place to be able to rotate that round. Now, one thing I will say is notice at the moment, I can't turn it. So what I need to do is just pull the guide rod forward slightly, and then I should be able to rotate it. Right. Move the barrel slightly. There we go. Okay. So a little bit of moving around. Usually it's just the guide rod. I had to move the barrel a little bit there. It's probably just pinned in place. But that's now locked back in place, and I can release the slide. And the pistol is now back together. And there we go. So that is the E2. Again, I didn't want to go into massive detail here because we're going to be stripping this down anyway to change for all the metal parts I've got. I still have a couple of bits and pieces I'm waiting for, but I've got all the main parts. But any questions you have about this, ask away. Obviously, I'm going to be taking it apart, looking at all the internals anyway. I'll inspect everything to make sure everything's in good condition. If anything needs replacing, I'll replace it. But from what I understand, this has been very little use so far, and you can see that there's virtually no wear on the front at all, like it's been in a holster at all. So it looks like it's just been sort of mucked around with. So any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll speak to you again soon.